kill them. Them can't stop your children. Oh, them, slow them. Them know how I am. So yeah, something. Them round away. So we know how none. We go out every day and we like some go out and done. Oh, yeah, watch them a try copy we but grab and run. But mine is a hell of a thing. Freedom is a hell of a thing. Envy is a hell of a thing. Yeah. Jealousy is another thing. I don't lie, let me tell you this. Them no want to we care, them know we in concert, lock up every venue. Host on the hill, we have view. Them brothers say we on can't know that ill view avenue. But me a tell my mind, no. Me nah rush no more. For some let dream, them rather push you out. But the truth is, bad mind we don't like you, no friend we no beg. Cause no boy can't go in and no baker to take my bread. So no guy off the road can't tell you. So we take none from them. Cause if me can't buy them on our Benz, me a burn up road on the end.
Just waiting for a few more people to come. Hello, hello.
Them rather go on here. So we know have nothing. We go out every day and we like some go out and done. And we a watch them a try copy we but grab and done. But mine is a hell of a thing. Yeah, that is a hell of a thing.
Hey, hello, hello. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
Jealousy is another thing.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. Good evening. It's Saturday and the weekend is here. We're getting ready for Easter and aren't we feeling good? Really nice to see you. Thank you all for joining me. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to my Facebook Live on toxic work colleagues. My name is Desiree Shaw. I am a counsellor, a psychotherapist, and above all, a lover of people and positive connection. So my aim is to make therapy accessible and support you to make better choices, okay, and to stop mental violence. And as we are human beings, we are predisposed to mental violence. Hello, Michael. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, hello, hello. Forgive me because it's a different colour at the moment. It wasn't that colour last week, so they've probably made some changes. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. My name is Desiree Shaw. I'm a psychotherapist, and I'm here to explore toxic work colleagues. So we're going to understand what a toxic work colleague is and what they look like, so we can understand who they are, what they're doing, and if we are being affected by them, or if we are a toxic work colleague. Hello, Eric. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So I'm going to describe to you what a toxic work colleague is. Now, we've all been in the workplace, all right? I'm assuming, but I'm sure we have. We've all been in the workplace, okay? Oh, what kind of connection can we have? The good sort, Stephen. That's the kind of connection we're going to have. Okay, so we've all been in the workplace, all right? We've all seen the work environment. We all understand work, yeah? I'm going to explain to you what a toxic work colleague is, because we've all been at work at some stage and we've experienced some kind of trepidation, frustration, disruption, whatever it is at work. And it affects us, because our work does affect us, because we spend most of our life there, yeah? So a toxic work colleague is a person who is motivated by a personal gain, be that money, fame, power, or status. Yeah, they often manipulate and annoy those around them to keep themselves in a position of power and to increase that power. They do not recognize the organization as a whole and mainly see their needs and purpose before others. They are often unethical, sneaky, unprofessional, and they seek the favour from only those they favour and not in the order of the organisational structure. Okay? All right? So that is what a toxic work colleague is. This is what they look like. Okay. Now we've all been at work. We've all seen that colleague, that one colleague, or that second two colleague, or three colleague, whatever it is. Okay. And we've all noticed that there's been some shady behaviours. Those of you who watched my video on shady throwing shade, you would understand what the shady behaviours are. So we know that they take our good and often our good work and often pass it off as their own. That can happen. Have you ever been in that situation where you've worked really, really hard on something and you thought to yourself, but hang on a minute, why is that person taking all of my glory? But you don't say nothing. Hey there. Yes, money or true love. What will you choose? I will choose money. So we've all had that person where we think to ourselves, what's their problem? Why are they always bothering me? Why are they doing that? Why are they irking me? You know, when they irk you, yeah? And we can't quite figure out what it is, what their gain is, what their point is, but it tends to control our whole emotion around work, yeah? So what does a toxic work colleague look like? Anyone. So a toxic work colleague can be anyone in particular. Okay, they don't have to actually look like anything. They can actually be that person that you confide in the workplace. You know, that person that you tell stuff to and that you're comfortable telling stuff to. And then when you go to work, you wonder why everybody knows your business. And you think, this doesn't seem right. Okay, toxic work colleague. All right. Now, we spend the majority of our waking hours at work. That's crazy, isn't it? Our majority of our waking hours we spend at work. And now, it can become a second home for some, all right? Some of us have great working ethics and working relationships. Whereas for some, it can be a place of hell and torture. So if you imagine waking up every day and going to a place that is toxic, filled with backbiting, bullying, discrimination, nepotism, this is what we're going to be talking about today, right? So first of all, I'm going to tell you about the dangers. There's the dangers of the workplace, of a toxic workplace. So if you see this happening, this is very important. It's very important. So, one, not being a part of the clique. Oh, sorry. I'm really sorry about that. Not being a part of the clique, being that you've been left out. Yeah, there's normally a group of people and you have been left out, and you can feel that feeling that you're being ignored and people are purposely excluding you. All right, that is bullying. Yeah, that is actually excluding you, and it kind of puts you in a really uncomfortable place. Yeah, okay. Bullying at the workplace. Now, bullying is quite tricky, because often employers don't like to admit that bullying is happening, and they pass it off as, oh, it's a clash of personalities. That's not bullying, okay? Or they say, oh, it's character building. That's not bullying, okay? It might say, oh, it's just the leadership style. No, okay? It's not okay. But we mask bullying by calling it other things in order to make ourselves feel a lot better, okay? Because our work does have an effect on us, has a massive effect on us, because we're there every single day. We spend all our time at work, and we've got different working environments, yeah? For example, I'm a therapist and I work in the social sector alongside education. And when you work in that sector and you walk into a toxic environment, it could be a hospital, it could be a mental health care unit, it could be a PRU, it could be school, whatever it is, right? You're dealing with people on a social level. So the level of working and understanding is really, really, really important, okay? And often what happens is, if the environment is toxic, the work is put into disrepute, okay? The work is jeopardized because you're messing with people's lives, okay? And that can have a lot to do with social and cultural misunderstandings, yeah? And, you know, my good nephew there, he coined a term for me, cultural intelligence. And that is basically when there are huge gaps in the understanding of somebody's culture or somebody's social understanding. So we can judge somebody based on how they look. We can judge somebody based on what we think they might do, not what they do, but what we think they might do, and treat them accordingly. Okay, that's discrimination based on the way that you present, and this stuff happens in the workplace, and it is so difficult. It is super difficult to deal with. All right, so let's move on with what I can see you there, Stephen. So we spend our majority of our waking hours at work. All right, we know. You dare me to answer that question? I'm married. Okay, so we spend the majority of our time at work. All right, we are always interfacing with people, and these people take up the majority of our week, and it can be very difficult. So the first trait we're going to look at, right? You know, when you're at work and there's that person known as the gossiper, right? Now the gossiper has always got something to say about somebody, always wants to say something about somebody. The gossiper is not to be confused with the person who shares information because they need a shoulder to cry on. Yeah, the gossiper is far more dangerous, conniving, and with an absolute purpose to poison and cause disharmony, and so be the person in power. So when your gossiper comes to you and they gossip about, they always seem to know everything. Okay, all right, they seem to know. Thank you, Stephen. They seem to know everything about everybody, and what they do is they share information, okay, and they give information out there, and they share information based on whatever anybody else is doing, and their main role is to poison your mind about something. And if somebody poisons your mind about something or someone, what they're doing is they're gaining control. Okay, now remember, your mind is your playground for your manifestations. Okay, so if somebody has the power and the gumption to place something in your head for you to think something, what's actually happening is they're trying, it's like mind control. So the gossiper is constantly trying out for power. Okay, the gossiper is always trying to get their place and create a position for themselves. Okay, and their main intent is to hurt, exert control, and overall, you know, extend their reputation as being the person that knows all. All right, so the gossiper is someone to really be careful of. When you see that, you know you're definitely in a toxic working environment. All right. Now, have you ever gone to a meeting and topics were risen in the meeting? Everybody listened, everybody agreed, everybody talked, and everything was out in the meeting. But then after the meeting, there's the meeting about the meeting. Now, the person that is dangerous at that situation is the leader of the meeting about the meeting. Yeah, this is the person who didn't air the views of whatever they wanted to say at the time during the actual meeting, and decides to have another meeting, which therefore further increases tensions and stress with other members of staff. And this is a very worrying factor, extremely worrying factor, because you have a meeting and issues are raised, concerns are shared, decisions are made, everyone in attendance, they fully support it, yes, we fully listen. Then someone holds the meeting after the meeting. Now, this person talks about issues that they didn't share. Yeah, they talk about things that they didn't talk about. Yeah, and now they're disagreeing with all the decisions that were made in the meeting. So now it's discord, it's upset, it's frustration. People have now got different ideas going on. And now what they want to do is cause disharmony. Because they just had a meeting, and now you've got to have another meeting. But now not everybody's really clear about what's going on. That's disharmony. That's toxic. That's actually throwing shade. Because there was a meeting to actually help support the actual facts of the meeting. So be wary of the leader of the other meeting. Okay? So the next one is these people. The people that say, that's not my job. Now, when you're working in social care, for example, nursing, a doctor, a therapist, whatever it is, teacher, support worker, it's very difficult to really distinguish what really is your job and what isn't your job. Because when you're working for the benefit of other people and other people's lives are in your hand, it's within your job to make sure that people stay alive and they're well. It is within your job, even if it's not within your job description. And what happens is when people start to say, that's not my job, Now, the smaller the company, the more important it is for employees to think on their feet, okay, and adapt quickly to changing issues and priorities at the drop of a hat, and do whatever it takes, regardless of the role or position. Sometimes that rubbish bin might be overfull and it might not be your job to take it out, but you're in a classroom with children who are very vulnerable, who might use that garbage as a means to throw missiles. It's your job to get rid of that garbage. That's the worst time to say, that's not my job. Hello, Brian. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. So when you hear that's not my job, alarm bells, okay? So even if it means a manager has to help load a truck, or a machinist needs to clean up something, some spill on the floor, or the accounting staff needs to hit the shop floor, the shop floor and start selling, we have to just get in there. Because if we don't get in there, the job's not going to be done. So when you hear that's not in my job, that's not in my job description, that's alarm bells. You're in a toxic environment. People starting to say, well, this is, I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing that, and I'm not doing this. And no, that is when you are bang in the middle of a toxic environment, and it is really dangerous when you're bang in the middle of a toxic environment at work. Okay, the next, and this one's quite an interesting one. They act as if they've already paid their dues. So this is the person who decides, well, I did some great work last year. That's it. That's me done. Now I can just roll over and just accept it. Okay? You never That's right. I can fully accept that, Stephen. Thank you very much for your input. You do know we're talking about work, don't you? You do know that. Okay, so they act as if they've already paid their dues. All right? So whatever they did last year is perfectly fine for this year. All right, this is a dangerous place to be in, okay? Because you're only as good as the last job that you did, okay? Just because you were great then doesn't mean you're great now, all right? It's a daily thing, it's a daily activity, okay? So, your dues aren't paid. You come to work, yeah? And when you get the job done, there's also, guess what? Another job to be done, which is super, super important, all right? So, some people at work, another thing is when they think that they are tangible, they think they are a tangible commodity. So that basically means experience is definitely important. It is important. Hello, Salika, nice to see you. Nice to see you, sis. Nice to see you. They think that they're a tangible commodity. Experience is definitely important, but experience that doesn't translate into better skills, better performance, and greater achievement, it's worthless. Okay, experience it's a waste. For example, a colleague once said to a younger supervisor, "My role is to be a resource." Great, but then he sat in his office all day waiting for us to come by so he could dispense his pearls of wisdom. That's not going to help. Okay. It's just not going to help. Of course, nobody did. Nobody stopped by. They were all too busy thinking. I respect your experience, but I wish your role was to do your job. Hey, Herman! So often we have people at work who are I'm so experienced. Come to me. And they're sitting around not doing anything. Your experience doesn't help you when there's a job to be done. So if you want to take yourself out of that toxic mindset and that toxic workplace, the first thing to do is get the job done. Okay, you might have 50,000 degrees and 25 years of experience. What's really important is that you get down and you do the job. People who constantly talk about their certificates and talk about what they know aren't really doing anything but talking about what they can do or what they did or what they know, but aren't actually helping with what is actually happening now. Okay. Now, those who love gossip, very similar to the gossiper, all right? Now, these people are dangerous. So they can be talking about the supervisors, talking about other leaders, talking about all these other things. And then what happens is, right, they will be talking about you too. But it just leaves that air of, it's discord, it's discomfort. Okay, if you have a workplace where people are constantly talking about each other, there's this film of gossip, and there's always somebody out there in the middle that is feeling the pain of this gossip, that is actually called bullying. Yeah, you have 4 of them. See, that must be really stressful. I can't even imagine what that must be like, because the effect of a toxic environment on your mental and emotional well-being is huge. Because remember, you spend, yes, Herman, you spend the majority of your life at work. Okay, work is a busy place. The daylight hours are spent at work. So when you go into a workplace and it's toxic and you're being bullied, you're being singled out, you've got all kinds of crazy stuff happening, you've got nepotism. Nepotism is a massive big deal at work, because that's just favoritism in a nutshell, basically. And when you have all of those things in the workplace, you are bogged down with the stress, the frustration of having to wake up every morning and get yourself there. And that can wreak havoc on your mental, emotional and physical health. Because coupled with that anxiety, that stress, that pressure, where you got to waking up in the morning, you don't want to wake up in the morning. And the worst thing is you start falling short on looking after yourself, because you are the most important human being to you. And so when work gets in the way of you looking after yourself, this is when you got to say to yourself, whoa, what's more important here? This isn't cool. I don't want to do this, because you are really important. And when your work takes over what you are actually doing, then this is just so not good. Okay? And nobody at work has the right to treat you in any way but the way that you want to be treated. And I'm not talking about anything else here, Stephen. Thank you very much. So, this is the traits of a really toxic environment. Also, I hadn't mentioned, they use peer pressure to hold others back. That's quite a serious issue. So new employees, they work hard. They work long hours, hitting targets, exceeding expectations, and they rock, and they're doing a fantastic job. And they got more experience than the other employees. But then the other employees might say things like, "You're working too hard." What do I think of boundaries at work? I think boundaries are super important at work. I think that if without boundaries, we don't know where the limits are. And if we don't know where the limits are, we're going to go anywhere. And if we're going to go anywhere, we're going to break some rules and some laws. So boundaries at work is super important. We need to know how far we can go with things, especially people. And especially if you're working in an industry which is about people. So social care, the education, nursing, all of that. You need boundaries, because what generally happens in those settings, people get comfortable. You know, I've been a psychotherapist for a good 6 years now, and I worked as support staff, and I worked in different places, and I saw some really messy habits which actually endangered you at work. And this is the problem, because you can compromise yourself emotionally, mentally, and professionally in the workplace if you do not have those boundaries. Boundaries are so important to how you live as well. Because once you know how far you can go, Stephen, you are making me laugh. Once you know how far you can go, then that's the limit. And it's always good to know a limit, okay? Your home should be the place where it's limitless. Work should never be the place where it's limitless, yeah? Okay? So peer pressure is also an issue, okay? They can also put you off of doing the job by telling you that, you know, you're working too hard. Now, one of the dangers in the workplace, which is a really toxic environment, yeah? Yes, it was so toxic, was it, Amanda? I could imagine. Those big companies tend to be really toxic because people fall into old habits. And one of the worst things that happen in these companies is that all-known favourite word, bullying. Now, bullying is such a hard thing to establish for employers, because it's difficult, because you can know that you're being bullied, but then you're not really being bullied, but you're being bullied. And you know you're being bullied because the moment you go home and put your head on your pillow and you're worried about work the next morning, and you're worried what somebody's going to say, and you're worried if you can do something, and you've got trepidation in your heart, you're being bullied. Yeah? The moment you think to yourself, okay, I'm walking into this, and you've got to second guess yourself, third guess yourself, fourth guess yourself, you are having stress, you're being bullied. And bullying is not nice. Okay, so let's talk about what bullying is not, and what sometimes employees try to pass off as your confusion, because they don't like to deal with bullying, because they find it difficult to deal with, because the bullies are normally super manipulative, normally have a nice fresh hand on gossip, are very, very strong in their yes, it's tribal behavior, and they decide it's this way. You've come here, you're new, I don't really like you, you might be better at me, better at the job than me, and I don't want you to show me up, so I'm going to exclude you from social settings. One of the most things that happen at work, which is really disheartening and really quite sad, is when you walk into a working environment and you're the only English speaker and everybody else speaks another foreign tongue to you and you don't understand it. And when you walk in, they start speaking and you get that feeling, are they talking about me? Now that's bullying, okay? Because the chances are, if they're not speaking English and they can speak English, they probably are talking about you. So you have to accept that. They're talking about me, and I need to accept that they're talking about me, and I need to accept that it's something that they don't want me to hear, which is probably really horrible. This is when you've got to accept, I'm being bullied. I can see that I'm being bullied, and I know that I'm being bullied. And this is where you have to start putting pen to paper or open up your email and start writing stuff down. Super important to do that, okay? Really important. So what is bullying not? Some people say, oh, it's a clash of personalities. I mean, if you're being systematically belittled, excluded or intimidated, you are not clashing with anyone's personality. That's bullying, okay? So when you hear that and you say, no, actually it's systematically, which means it's constant and it's over and over and over again, and it keeps happening and it's causing me disturbance. Yes, Salika, yes. And and when the bullies are there for much longer, because what often happens when they're there for much longer, they've been able to set the standard. Okay, and bullying is the worst thing that happens at work, because it happens a lot and in different ways. Okay, the effects can be debilitating, have an effect on your emotional health. Okay, a leadership style. Some people try to say, oh, it's just their leadership. Hello, Anne, nice to see you. It's just their leadership style. That boss might be overly aggressive or dominant, you know, and they try to pass off their bullying as, that's just the way I lead. That's just my style. No, they're bullying you. Okay? You have the right to walk into your workplace and feel comfortable. That's what you signed up for. Nobody has the right to pressure you and put you under immense amount of emotional stress. I mean, how is that living? You do not work. You don't live to work. You work to live. There's a difference there. Okay? When you work to live, you can accept certain things that happen at work and be comfortable with it. But if you're living to work and work is the main reason why you are alive, that's not cool. You know, you have one life. You live every day and you die once. Why should work be the place that takes you there sooner? Okay, so bullying is never the victim's fault. And the bullies are really good at this. They start saying, well, you got here late. You know, you got here after. Yeah. People get power. When people get power, I mean, as human beings, we're predisposed to disturbances, and we always want to be the top of the food chain. You know, we think they're the lion. We think that we're the lion. We're in control. When ultimately we're human beings like everybody else. You know, we all want the same thing. We want exactly the same thing. We want to enjoy life, be loved, be happy, live well. This is what we want. Okay, why on earth is there all of this pain that happens when we go to work? That's the last place that you should be feeling like that. All right. So bullying is never the victim's fault, and is often motivated by the perpetrator's own insecurities. So if you are being bullied, remember this: that person is often insecure. And when they're insecure and they have the desire to move up the career ladder and they see you as an obstacle, people do get power. And when they get that power, yes, I think I mentioned that. Sorry, Ash. Okay, so it's important to remember that if you are being bullied, all incidents are relevant. Every single thing. Even if they moved your coffee cup, yeah, and they put it somewhere else and they kept doing it, yeah. And because bullying establishes a pattern. You want to establish a pattern. It's really important. So it's important for you to document your experience of this and explain how you felt. Explain what happened. Okay, especially if you're walking into an environment and everybody's speaking in a different tongue to the English tongue that you know and that you started the job with, and the job was not about everybody else speaking a different tongue. That is bullying. Somebody starts speaking to you, speaking about you, you know it's clear what's going on. You need to document that really gently, really calmly. Be in your power of knowing who you are and document it. Get your email out, email it to yourself, whatever it is. Have yourself 2 emails, email it out there. Okay, what was that? What if you want to get someone out if they are incompetent? Is that bullying too? Well, it depends on what you're doing. If they're incompetent and they're jeopardizing the progress of the company, you just have to say, listen, you're not doing your job, and this A B C D E F G. That's not bullying. Bullying is targeting them and you're rubbish. You're not doing that every day. You're not highlighting, because you've got the criticizer, the person who criticizes everything and basically wants to find fault with everything. Now, we're only human. We're imperfectly human. So we will make mistakes at times. But when you've got somebody who jeopardizes the future of what is really happening, that needs to be noted. That does need to be noted. And I wouldn't say that was bullying. Jesus had all the power, but he never bullied anyone. No, he didn't. Jesus just loves us, Stephen. He does. He just loves us. Thank you very much for that. So there's another kind of bullying. And that's what sort of behaviour is social bullying. This is when we're in the workplace and social bullying takes place. And social bullying is, I think it's more painful than most bullying, because it gets a bit more mental and emotional. And what I'll explain to you, because it's really quite hurtful. So, damaging or hurting someone's reputation or relationship, including professional. So social bullying's like talking, oh, did you see what Frederick did the other day with that client? Oh, it was so bad. You just let that out. Then once you pass it on to somebody else, that person said, he did a really bad thing. He jeopardized everything for everyone. Oh my God, did you see what he did? He brought the company into, and before you know it. So that is really horrible. Yeah. And it might have just been one thing that happened, and things happen. Sometimes things happen, you know? Oh yeah. Oh, see? And I could imagine how that must feel, Salika. I can imagine how that must feel. So leaving someone out on purpose. Now, first of all, we go to work because we are adults. But what we haven't realised is it's the same as school. Now, school is the platform for where you learn how to become an adult. Okay? Bullies rule the playground. Bullies manipulate the teachers. The same thing happens at work. All right? So school is just like, it's like the pretend version of life. Really, it's the pretend version of the workplace, and the workplace is very much the real version of school. So you got to understand how you can better make your life better when you're at work, and understand and see the signs as to what is actually happening. So when somebody's leaving you out on purpose, like you knew when this happened at school, and you go, Miss, he's not talking to me, and your teacher would be like, go and find some other friends. You know, that was school. You could do that, you know? Even then that was a bit annoying. But when you're in the workplace, it's not the same. It's really not the same, and it can cause you a lot of emotional stress. So being excluded from social events on a regular basis. So we've all got social media, yeah, most of us. And you can see when somebody's going out a lot with another group of work colleagues, and you are purposely being excluded, and you know you are. That's social bullying, yeah? Spreading rumours about someone and trying to get others to join in. Social bullying, okay? Embarrassing someone in public. Social bullying. Trying to get others to avoid having contact with you, with the victim. This is also bullying. This is a really horrible way of doing things. Like, no, don't talk to her. Don't. Shh. Leave her. She doesn't need to know. Leave her. And then everybody else starts thinking, oh no, we shouldn't talk to her. Yep. Well, the managers are scared of them, then surely the company is not worth working for. Well, this is the worst thing, because that's normally has something to do with nepotism and favoritism. Somebody's in a position to give somebody something which they shouldn't really have. And what's happening is there's an abuse of power, and there's abuse of what the company stands for. And this is why you're having that experience. This is why people are able to get away with it, because actually they're not being told, no, do not do that to me. This is not okay, because it's not okay. Okay, somebody's not saying, someone's not telling the truth about what the connection actually is. Breaking confidence, social bullying, okay? Trying to get others to avoid and have contact, I did say that, and comments on social media. So, what are the effects? Well, it can be really difficult for a person to trust their friends at work. And when you feel that feeling like, I can't trust you, I feel so uncomfortable. You're just going around with all this mental talk in your head, okay? You know, go and have some fun, Stephen, nice to see you. You have all of this mental talk in your head, and that can be really, really, really difficult, all right? So, amongst the anxiety, the frustration it builds, it can cause you not to look after yourself as well as you can, all right, as well as you should. Now, I'm going to end this Facebook Live here, and tomorrow I will come back with how to manage toxic work colleagues, how to prepare yourself, how to better treat yourself, and how to deal with all of these situations that I've talked about, the bullying, the gossiping, the nepotism, the social discrimination. I would like to say thank you all for watching, okay? And I really appreciate that I have kept you here for quite a long time. So I'm going to say goodbye to you now, and I hope to see you tomorrow. I do love this song. It's a really good song. It kind of fits. It's called Carbon Done. And I love when he says, bad mind is a hell of a thing. Hey, Ash. Ooh. Hey, Amanda, anytime you're ready, girl. Don't worry, Salika, I'll send it to you. This is what you gotta sing when you get into work, yeah? This is your song. I dedicate it to you. Another thing. Bye for now. See you soon. Thank you for the love. Oh, I'm loving the love.